Okay, welcome to our math lesson today, grade 4. So today we're going to be doing, our lessons are going to be about equal parts of sets. So here we go. Before I start, I'm going to ask you a question. So what are some things that you can take a fraction of? So think about that for a minute. Click and think. Pause and think. Okay, I think that I can cut a pizza into fractions. I can cut a cake into fractions. I can make a line into fractions. I can make a circle into fractions. So there's many things in the world, a chocolate bar, that you can you can take a fraction of. So today I have on my sheet of paper question number 1. I have the question, what fraction of the circles are shaded? So if I look, first thing I need to do is count how many circles do I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. So that's going to be my bottom part of my fraction, my denominator. And then I have to count how many are shaded. 1, 2, 3. So 3/8 of my circles are shaded. So now we're going to look at another picture, but now my circles aren't all the same size because 3/8 of them are still shaded. There's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles, and 3 of them are still shaded. So it still is true that 3/8 are shaded. So what fraction of the circles are big? So I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 circles, and how many of them are big? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of the 8 circles are big. So 5/8 of my fraction. What is my fraction that are big circles? What fraction of my ones are shaded? So I still have 8 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3 of them are shaded. So we don't have to color in chocolate bars. We can have a set of things and we can make fractions with that set. So here we have an exercise. So I'm going to explain it to you, and then I want you to pause the video and see if you can come up with the answers. So here's your set, circle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle. You need to find the fraction of the shapes that are circles. So what fraction of those are circles? What fraction are triangles? What fraction are shaded? And what fraction are not shaded? So pause, figure it out, and then come back. Okay, so the important thing for us to know, first of all, is how many shapes are there, because that's going to be our bottom number. So in each one of these, there are 5 shapes. So I'm going to just start by that and put a 5 on the bottom. Each one of them has 5, there's always 5 shapes. So how many of those shapes are circles? 1, 2, 3. So if you said that 3/5 of them are circles, way to go, you've got it right. How many of them are triangles? 1, 2. So 2/5 of them are triangles. Now I need to figure out what's the fraction of these shapes that are shaded. 1, 2 are shaded. So 2/5 of them are shaded. And how many of them are not shaded? 1, 2, 3. 3 of them are not shaded. So that would be our fractions for this set of information. So now I have another set of information down here. And I have 2 circles, a triangle, a circle, and a triangle. So it's the same number of them that I had at the top, but they just are different sizes now. So I want you to pause and see if you can figure out what is the fraction of shapes that are circles, that are small, that are shaded, that are not shaded, that are big, and that are triangles. So pause and figure it out and then come back on. Okay, so I have to start with what's my bottom number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 shapes. So for each one of these, my bottom number, my denominator, is 5 because there's always 5 shapes. So now I have to count how many are circles. 1, 2, 3 of them are circles. How many of them are small? 1, 2, 3 of them are small. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are shaded. How many are not shaded? Just 1. How many of them are big? 1, 2. And how many of them are triangles? 1, 2. So those are my fractions. 3/5 of these shapes are circles. 3/5 are small. 4/5 are shaded. 1/5 is not shaded. 2/5 are big. And 2/5 are triangles. So I hope you got all your answers right in on those activities when you thought about them when you were paused. So next, we are going to be looking at this sheet. So now, I'm going to change my color of marker, going to go to orange. So here is my set of shapes. So I have squares, triangles, and circles. Yep, those are all my shapes. So now what I need to do is look at my shapes. 3/8 of these shapes are what? Are they squares? Are they triangles? Are they circles? Are they shaded? Are they not shaded? Oh boy, so now I have to say, okay, there's 3 of these shapes that are all the same somehow. So if I want to count squares, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So that wouldn't work. If I do triangles, 1, 2, 3. Ah, there are 3. 3 of the shapes are triangles. So I can say 3/8 of the shapes are triangles. Now the next question says to me 1/8 of the shapes are, okay, so I'm going to say, well, it's not going to be triangles because there was 3 of them. Is it my squares? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Is it the ones that are shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Is it the ones not shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Ah, there is only one circle. So 1/8 of my shapes are circles. And my last question, this is a bonus one, this one's tricky. Half of the shapes are what? So I have 8 shapes, but half of them are what? Oh, I know that half, if I multiply this by 4 and I multiply that by 4, that an equivalent fraction is 4/8. So now I have an 8 on the bottom and I have 8 shapes. So this is going to be easier for me to figure out. So how many, what kinds of, of my shapes, how many are 4/8? So I look at this and I say 4/8, 1, 2, 3, 4 are shaded. So half of the shapes are shaded. I wonder if there's another answer that could fit in that blank. 1, 2, 3, 4/8 of them are not shaded. And I'm wondering if you can find one more in there that would go for half. Something that there's 4 of. And if you said there are 4 squares, you are right. So half of these shapes are squares. Half of them are shaded, half are not shaded. Okay, that was awesome. Now my next sheet has us looking at another set of fractions. So for this one, we have all these shapes. So I have squares, triangles, circles, and there's a whole bunch of them. So I need to find out what fraction of the shapes are circles. What fraction of the shape are squares? What fraction of the shapes are circles or squares? What's the fraction that are not circles? And what is the fraction that is not triangles? So the very first thing I'm going to do again is first of all figure out how many shapes are there, because that's my denominator. How many are there all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 shapes all together, so I'm going to put that at the bottom of each of my fractions because my denominator is there's 9 shapes, so I'm going to put that down there. So now I have to count how many of these 9 shapes are circles. 1, 2. 2 of my 9 shapes are circles, so 2/9 of these shapes are circles. How many of them are squares? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/9 of them are squares. How many are circles or squares? So now I have to count all my circles and all my squares to find out how many there are that are circles or squares. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/9 of my shapes are circles or squares. Now I have to count how many of them are not circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of my shapes are not circles. And that makes sense because over here I said that 2 of my 9 were circles. So that means the rest of them were not circles. So then that was 9 take away 2 is 7. So there's my 7/9. And now I need to figure out how many of these shapes are not triangles. Okay, well, I can count, I guess. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are not triangles. Or I can say I have 1, 2, 3 triangles. So if I take 3 away from 9, I'm left with 6. So 6 of them are not triangles. I hope that you are understanding what's going on, and I am going to pause and stop this video, and then I will start it up again in a minute.